This is your girl Yannick Taylor, aka Priestess, hostess of Conversations with the Priestess. Here's a preview of what you may hear on Conversations with the Priestess.
We weren't meant for monogamy, let's be honest. Like, we have needs, let's be real. And communicating that, what you want, what you don't want, what sets up. Now, this drink is brown because I learned something. Since I'm older, I can't do brown liquor anymore. Also, I noticed since I started on hormone replacement therapy, HRT, in 2015, me and certain liquors don't match well. I don't know whether...
And I recognize that a lot of men love to be dominated by women. And that's because men are seen as these leaders, as this big alpha male dominant being. And because they're put on this pedestal of being leaders, sometimes they want to be submissive.
Back when I cosplayed a Butch Queen in South Carolina around 2011, I was on Craigslist. This is when Craigslist was bumping and before they had gotten rid of the personal section.
I hope you enjoyed that preview. Join me on Wednesdays at 9 p.m. for Priestess After Dark. Full video versions of the podcast can be found on patreon.com/CWT Priestess, and join me on Fridays at noon for our regular Friday post. Live, love, and be free. Smooches.
Available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, anywhere you download and stream podcasts.
What's going on, everybody? Spring is in the air and summer is soon approaching. I know that we've been in this panorama for the longest. It's been a whole year and we are tired. But things are opening back up and travel plans are looking promising. So I want to tell you all, you can go ahead and get your spring and summer looks with the Priestess. Yes, that's right. You can go to priestessbeauty.maven.com and baby, you can change your look instantly. We have human hair wigs, we have virgin, we have yaki, we have everything Peruvian. Get your glam on with the Priestess. Go to priestessbeauty.maven.com. Everybody, we have confidence in ourselves, right? So if you are confident, I want you to go to shop.spreadshirt.com/Yannick Taylor and pick up the Confident Pussy line and the Ethical Hoe line. Yes, honey, support black creatives and support black businesses. Honey, you need the shirt, especially for the summertime. So get that Confident WAP and Ethical Hoe merchandise today. Let's start the show. What's going on, everybody? This is your girl, the Priestess, never your mistress. I pray that everything is well with y'all. Things are well. I have been super busy, and I do apologize for my absence. I have had a lot to go on mentally and work-wise and everything. After the birthday episode, I had a little bit of some issues happening in life. But now, thanks be unto God, I survived it, and I'm pressing through. A lot has been transpiring. But again, I'm pressing through. In other news, I'm 35 and I'm fabulous and things are well. And as you know, we have the vaccine out and available. And yours truly went and got herself vaccinated on this past week. And for real, when I tell you, my arm was sore for a few days, but I didn't have any side effects. My concern will actually be the second dosage. That will be my main concern. But preferably, I don't have any side effects or anything like that. And hey, I'm going to be able to do what I need to do, have my fun, get my collabs in, and travel again. Also, In other news, I want to give a shout out to Black Excellence and my Black Business of the Week. I want to give it up for my homegirl, my sister, Miss Jameson. You know who you are. Y'all, go check her out on IG. Her IG handle is at dog_on_stylista. She's a dog groomer and an all-around professional when it comes down to pet care, dog styling, doing everything. It's Doggone Stylista, located in Charlotte, North Carolina. You can find, I'm going to have the links for her and her business in the show links, but you can find her on IG, Facebook as dog_on_stylista. And when I tell you, they do some wonderful work, and I have to give it up. Y'all, please support this Black business. Support my sister. We go way back. Please go support. We've got to support Black business. Okay, girl. Okay. And with that being said, speaking of happenings in the Black community, many of you know about the trial against murderer Derek Chauvin that we witnessed kill George Floyd last year. And last May, he is on trial, and they are doing the closing arguments. And the world is, they're ready for something to happen. And I noticed that some businesses have started boarding up and girding themselves because we don't know what to expect. But y'all, let's keep an eye on this. And if push comes to shove, we're going to the streets. We are going to those streets. No holds barred at all. But again, everything has been well with me. Everything is good. I cannot complain. We're going to go into I Was in a Cult shortly. But I wanted to leave this tidbit with you all very quickly. Many of you all know that I support those who engage in sex work or who are sex workers. And as you know, that sex work is work. And we're seeing that discussion being handled more as we see the increase in people starting OnlyFans and things like that to supplement income, especially since the pandemic. And people tend to have this thing about sex workers as and I'm going to say we for a specific reason, so I can include everything in it, as I have experience in sex work. No shame here. But when it comes down to sex workers, pay what you owe. If you hit someone on their business page and it states what type of work that they do, it is pretty freaking disrespectful for you to go and ask them for free material. Oh, and they tell you, please read my profile, these are my rates, or send you what they charge and you block them. That's disrespectful and cheap. Do not hit them on any of their social medias asking for free stuff. They're doing work. And despite what you may think, sex workers also have boundaries. Because if a person is a sex worker, that does not give you the right to jump in their DMs and say, hey, how are you? I want to smash. Or if you see their escort profile and you hit them on their personal page to where they're just living their life, they're not discussing their business, and you ask them to smash, that's very disrespectful of you to do so. They may not want to hear about that outside of them doing the work. You know. And I think it's crazy that people have this thing that because you are a certain thing, that you're supposed to settle for less than what you are. Like, come on, honey, you wouldn't go to the grocery store and ask them, could you get groceries on credit? You don't do that. You don't go to the car lot and ask them, hey, can I get a discount on this? You wouldn't do that to them. So why would you do it to sex workers? Like, for real. Why would you do that? And it's crazy at the people that have so much to say about sex work. But what they don't realize is that every time you watch porn, watch adult entertainment, you're supporting sex work. And if you have a problem with sex work, stop watching porn. Plain and simple. And stop demeaning sex workers when these are the same people that you watch TV to and get your rocks off, that you watch and get your rocks off, and you act like, well, I don't want to pay that for them because I can go to Pornhub and stuff. Okay, that's fine and dandy. Go on over to Pornhub, because what you won't do, somebody else will, and it's not taking money out of their pockets. We're not asking you to support, but if you are going to be the type of person to ask for certain things, just support. Just support. And if you partake in porn or like their videos, if you can't pay for whatever reason, all you have to do is share and retweet. Tell your friends about it. Help them build their business. Don't sit there and open up your mouth and talk trash about people because they're doing sex work. They're paying their bills. And how is it affecting you? How is what they do with their bodies affecting you? And contrary to popular belief, and I have to stop right here, and as a trans woman myself, I want to clear something up. And as a person who has experience in sex work myself, I want to clarify something. People who do sex work, they're not doing that for attention. They're not doing this because they just want sex. They're not doing that because they're tricking anybody. They are doing that for survival purposes. Now, some people have the luxury and the privilege to do it for fun, but some people don't, especially queer and trans people who may be kicked out of their homes or cannot keep a steady job, or who may have lost their jobs during the pandemic. And while y'all are worried about what's going on in other people's beds, honey, worry about your own soul salvation. Worry about that job that you're working. Worry about what you need to worry about instead of worrying about who sex workers' clients are. I was on a panel on one of my live streaming apps, and this person said, well, mind you, this is a younger cis person, so they don't understand a lot. I'm going to give it to that. But the crazy part is they had all of these opinions about sex workers, and I had to stop her. And my thing is, for those that support sex workers, let's get rid of the idea that they're all married or on the down low, or they're lonely, or they just can't get a date. Some people actually go to sex workers because, number one, they want to. That's their money. They can do whatever the fuck they want to with it. Number two, if they want to support a sex worker, it may be a fantasy that they have, and they're willing to pay that person to make sure that person is taken care of. Or it could just very well be that that person knows what this person does and want to make sure that they're compensating them for that time. But whatever the reason, it is none of your business as to the transactions. But not all people who support sex workers are cheating on their wives or husbands. They're not all on the down low looking for something. These could be probably out and proud people, or these people could be in open marriages, or could be single as fuck and could get any person that they want, but they choose to do this. They more than likely don't want the attachment, but they want that physical contact. They want touch without all of the emotional and commitment, and they're willing to pay that person and commit to, hey, look, we're just doing business. But regardless, shut your mouth about the things that you know nothing about, okay? Shut your mouth about things that you don't know about. And by me having experience in sex work, I remember when I escorted, during my times as an escort, as just doing amateur film, doing different things in that line, being a phone sex operator, I learned that these people that are engaging in sex work and also that support sex workers, they can do it because they are able to, and to support a sex worker. And those who engage in sex work, from my experience, it was because my job was dead end and I needed to pay bills. It was things that I wanted to do. And I don't knock anyone. I don't knock anyone for being an exotic dancer or a dancer. Let me put it like that, a dancer, or being a stripper, or having an OnlyFans, or even escorting, doing whatever they need to do. I can't knock that because they're making $1. And despite what you say, it is none of your business what they do with their money because they're trying to survive. And I don't understand why, especially with men, cis men, and those that go after trans people and queer people, why they demean people as hoes for simply doing what they do on a regular basis but getting paid for it. Y'all sit there and down sex workers for them not fucking for free, but y'all out here having sex with any and everybody for free, but y'all have no morals. Sex workers have morals. We are very particular about who we deal with, especially us trans and non-binary people, because our identity is seen as a tool to kill us. And for one, when I would, in modern times, I'm going to put modern times, more recent times, where I have engaged in such work, I always let somebody know where I was going, and even with when I'm just going out with someone on a date, on a regular date, I have my way of scanning them out, of weeding them out, of vetting them, because my life is precious. My life is too damn precious to let somebody take. And because of everything happening in the world, it behooves us as trans people to be careful, especially when we're going out on dates, because it's not safe for us anywhere. And I do want to solicit prayers for 2 young women out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Unfortunately, we found out that earlier this month, 2 trans women were killed. And this has been within the last 2 weeks. The first homicide happened April the 4th with Jada Peterson. And on April 15th, there was another young lady, Remy Fennell, that were killed. 2 men, Darius Long and Joel Brewer, have both been arrested as of April 16th, charged in connection with both women's murders. And no matter, these young women were hairstylists. Remy Fennell was a hairstylist, and she was a great person in the community. She did not deserve to die like that. No one deserves to die. These are outstanding individuals. You know, these are outstanding individuals, and no matter what went on in their life, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. And we have Jada. She was an all-around loving person, active in her community, doing the best that she could to help people, showing love to everybody. And that's what us trans people are. We're not a threat to anybody. We're not out here tricking anybody. We're not doing anything to anybody. We're just showing love, making a dollar, doing what we need to do to survive. Yet we're killed. So stand up. And I have this to say. If you love dealing with trans women, then you should be able to stand up for trans women. Stop going after trans women if you're going to be silent about when Black trans women are harmed, brutalized, and murdered. That's all I am asking. Let me get off my soapbox. Here's a quick word from my sponsors and some church announcements. I'll be right back.
The great visionary leader of India, Mahatma Gandhi, said, "It is health that is real wealth, and not pieces of gold and silver." Listen to the Healthy Grocer radio show on your favorite podcast platform. We know that health is our greatest wealth, and we will be discussing all aspects of natural healing. Explore everything from supplements, superfoods, and healthy lifestyle choices to help conquer stress and boost productivity. Top industry experts and natural health professionals join us for a deep dive into our healing journey. You can find the Healthy Grocer radio show on demand every day, wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And remember, health is your greatest wealth.
What's up, everybody? This is your girl Yanni T, the priest is never your mistress. Thank you all for your love and support of this podcast. I am asking, as we continue to break great content, I'm asking that you stop by and hit our Cash App. That's $Yanni T Music. The money doesn't just go to me, but it goes to help other trans individuals, other trans organizations. And every time you share, it helps keep the lights on. I love the work that you all have been doing, and thank you to my supporters. And y'all, we also ask that you leave us a review. Let us know how we are doing. And if there's anything that you want to discuss, please do not hesitate to tweet me at cwtpriestess@gmail.com or email me at yaniquetmusic@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you. So y'all, live, love, and be free. Let's get back into the show. And we're back. Let's continue this. Now we're going to go into what everybody's come here for. Me talking about my experience of being in a religious cult back in the day. And as I'm sitting here recording this, y'all, I have a vanilla caramel candle burning. And this candle is giving me absolute life right now. It is giving me absolute life. And I'm just so happy that I have this particular candle in my world. Oh my goodness. Because as I sit here in all of my glory, I am taken to a new place with this candle. So I want to also give a big shout out to an Instagram post, to an Instagram creator, wife and duo. They're creating a safe space for those recovering for church trauma, like myself, your favorite heretics. Y'all go follow them. They have a wonderful post that deals with church trauma. And y'all can follow them on IG, Your Favorite Heretics, and I'll post all of their links and things. But they have a post, they have a whole series called Church Trauma Can Look Like. They have a part 1 and a part 2. So we have many things, and I love it. I love it. I love it. And in the previous episode that I did about me being a part of said cult, um, oh my goodness, we talked about, like, we went over a general overview of that, and I want to talk about one of the things that made me leave that church, um, and how it really hurt me to the core. So, one of the things that really bothered me about this was during the time that I was going through an abusive relationship, and I know I talked about this on the other episode. Um, and this is something that I did not, I still don't, I'm not going to say I don't comprehend, but I comprehend it now because of certain ideas that they had. One of the things that really bothered me was, mind you, I was dating this person, and the relationship was not the best of relationships. Every other day, it was an argument between me and my ex, and was constantly putting hands on me, and it hurt. It really hurt. It really hurt that they would do that. And again, so was one day I left this ex, and I finally started really resurfacing. Um, and godmother prophetess godmother, and I were talking one day, and she said, "Well, what's been going on with you? You've been kind of off lately." I said, "Well, I was dealing with a situation. I was dating someone, a guy, and he was cool, but he started putting hands on me." And as I'm talking to her, mind you, I'm reliving this experience. I am reliving being punched in the face, being burnt with cigarettes, having bleach thrown in my face, having my hair pulled, being drugged throughout my house, fighting in my bathroom, having my nose injured, me breaking his ankle, different stuff. And I'm having this experience while talking to her, and she was like, "Are you okay? What happened? Did you press charges?" And I was like, I said, "Well," I said, "He moved out. Two of my friends helped me get out of the situation, and I didn't press charges because they told me that he had kids, and I didn't want to take him away from his kids." Mind you, at this time, I was a very impressionable 24-year-old, still finding themselves, still trying to figure out who they are as a person. And she says to me, "Well, I'm glad that you're okay, but you know that's the punishment you get for um, for you being gay." I was like, "Okay, okay, okay. I see where you're going." And that hurt me so bad because I'm like, you are, and this is what I like about the post that I saw from Your Favorite Heretics. Um, they talk about sin watching. And I'm going to call this not only sin watching, but victim blaming because of sin. Okay? So I just told you that I went through a domestic violence case. I suffered through domestic violence. And instead of praying for me, because I survived domestic violence, you want to pray the homosexual out of me. You want to pray the gay or the transgender out of me. Yeah, let's see how far that goes. And I really felt some type of way about that because I'm like, here I am. I just could have lost my life. But all you can see is the sin that was in my life. You couldn't see that I was suffering pain, that I was suffering, you know, because of someone that I loved. But you could see what I was doing in my bedroom. And it really caused dismay for me because I'm like, you are so focused on the wrong thing. Whereas you need to be focused on the fact that I just went through a traumatic experience. And instead of helping me heal, helping me get through this, like the good book says, you're focused on my sexuality, which does not make sense to me. And I feel a lot of times, a lot of sex in Christianity, a lot of church people overlook things like domestic violence, overlook abuse, and really focus and harp on someone's sexual or gender identity, which God could care less about that. I've never understood why religious people across all religions are so concerned about what people do in their bedrooms. And it really hurt me. And it was from that point on, I said, I need to leave this church. But it was more so, how do I do it? How do I get through this? How do I make it out of this? And mind you, one of the things that constantly happened in that church, they would call people out over the pulpit, over the guise of prophecy, when in reality, it was based off of conversations that we had during that week or at some point in time. And it always happened, especially when someone started progressing spiritually and started getting certain advantages over prophetess godmother and her crew. And again, to me, this is a part of sin watching. I felt like sin watching contains so much. And it was crazy because I was so scared that they would hurt me, number one. I was scared that, you know, I couldn't be friends with any of them afterwards. And this is a part of what the Your Favorite Heretic say service abuse is. Um, One of the things that they were trying to do as I was in the process of moving and trying to figure my life out, and I was, unbeknownst to them, I was planning my exodus from the church. So I really started focusing on work, looking for other employment, and looking for another apartment. So what they would do, which is a part of service abuse, thank you, Your Favorite Heretics, is guilting you into volunteering and acting as if it's your moral obligation to the church. No matter if you had a job or if you had schoolwork or if you had obligations to your family. And it was so crazy because they only really kept me around to ensure I kept serving because it benefited them. But that's a whole nother thing. But one of the things that pissed me off was I had to work, and it was on New Year's. I had to work, and they were having a watch night service, and I already knew that I was going to have to work in advance because I had Christmas off. The way that I worked at this particular job at the time, if you had one holiday off, you had to work the next holiday. It would alternate, so it was to give people a fair
chance. And I told them, I said, y'all, I can't get off. It's mandatory that I work. I asked, they can't find a replacement, so I have to work. The whole time I'm at work, this was leading up to the time because this was leading up to before this incident. Actually, they were saying, well, you know, God wants you to be off. At the time, I'm like, well, I can't get off. God understands that I have to work because if I don't work, I don't eat. That's Bible. You don't work, you don't eat. And I would use that rationale. They was like, well, you could have called off. You can't do nothing. I'm like, no, I'm at work. And I got so frustrated that I put my phone down. And I said, you know, I really need to leave this church, but how? Then I thought, well, maybe, you know, it's my fault. And that was a part of that narcissistic abuse that I went through. We're going to talk about that later. But then also going back to me leaving the church, at this time, I was moving. And our pastor's anniversary was that same day, but things fell through. And I had to be out of my apartment by a certain day. And I was getting that done because I had already told someone that I was moving in by a certain time. Well, I told them, I said, well, I'm going to be a little late to service because I finally got someone to help me move my things. I said, I'm going to be a little late. And mind you, I was the church musician. And mind you, they already knew in advance that I needed to move. And I didn't ask them for help in moving because I was planning on leaving that church. And I didn't want them to know where I was moving to because I got tired of the pop-ups at my fucking house. I got tired of the pop-ups at my house just randomly popping up for nothing just to see what I was doing. And that kind of put a fear in me that, oh, I have to be at home all the time or I can't have company over because it'll seem like I'm hiding something, which I'm not hiding anything. I'm just having company. Like, can I have friends? Can I just live my life? So I didn't ask them for help. I just asked them for help and helping me find somebody that could help me move my stuff. And I was going to make sure it was somebody I knew that wouldn't tell my business, but it fell through, thankfully. But when I got to the church, I was met with the nastiest and dirtiest of looks. And for those that say, oh, well, you should have had that taken care of, I did have it taken care of, but something fell through with one of the people that were going to help me because they ended up being in an accident and got injured that day, the night before. So I had to change plans at the last minute. So what ends up happening, I get fussed out and I'm like, well, I already told y'all that I had to move and that we were trying to figure out the moving truck. They wanted me to just hold off on my plans, come to church and worry about my things later when this needed to be handled. Now, mind you, during this whole time, no one from that church offered to help me. I could call the name of that church out, but I'm not going to be messy. They could have helped me. No one offered to help, and I wasn't going to ask. I wasn't going to ask. And it 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 really hurt that happened. I said, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and leave the church. Because at this time I was dating someone and they saw how I was being treated. They saw how I was being treated. I said, you know what? It's really time for me to go. It's time for me to go. So I spent a few weeks planning, and after that I finally left because, mind you, during all this I am still dealing with night terrors, nightmares, having PTSD because I'm scared that this man, my ex, could come back in my life. And you thought they would reach out and ask me how I'm doing about that. No, they never once asked about that. They only asked about who I was sleeping with. And I will never forget, shortly before I moved, I had dwelt a little bit in drag. This is before I started transitioning. And I believe this was the point to where I really started figuring out myself as a person. So these people at this church, I had confided in someone that yes, I did drag. And I wasn't ashamed, but I just confided in that person. And she and I talked about it. She had her issues with it and we talked. I said, well, I just did it for one time, just to see how it would look. Like anybody, a lot of people experiment with dressing as a different gender, like for real.
because she would oftentimes dress very masculine and parade as a masculine woman, um, just to flirt with other women for fun. But when I dressed up in drag, it was an issue. So a couple of days later, it was Sunday, and I'm sitting there playing the music, and all of a sudden, the pastor, which was her mom, comes up. Now, mind you, this is after I dealt with this stuff in my abusive relationship. She gets up. What they didn't know was I was getting ready to do a big show at this club in Charlotte. I was making my debut as Brigitte Denise. I was making my big premiere, and I was planning my exodus. So she says to me, she says, she gets on the pulpit. She says, "You are a man. You are not a woman. You're not supposed to dress in those things. You need to get rid of that demon out of you now." And they crowd me and start praying for me. And y'all gonna think I'm hellified for this. I just went along with it because I'm like, I'm so over this. I went along with it. And they asked, "Are you okay now?" I'm fine. I'm fine. And it had gotten to the point that within that time of me getting ready to leave, the pastor's son, who was also a preacher, but he had his own church, comes in and proclaims a church fast. I said, "You know what? I'm not going to do this fast because I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. I don't feel like doing it. Like, why am I here if, every time I pray, I'm still who I am and I'm still conflicted in who I am. I'm still conflicted in what I desire. And it has nothing to do with sin." And one of the major things is I wanted to record a secular album, record gospel, and do some art songs. And when I voiced my dream in a Bible study, it was clearly told to me, those does not glorify God. You need to sing strictly gospel because God doesn't honor that. And it made me second guess myself as a person. And with all of that, coupled with you did not even think to help me through domestic abuse or refer me to counselors, yeah, it was time for me to leave that church. And the fact that they watched people sin so heavily, oh my gosh, it was just so embarrassing. And one of the things that killed me, this is at the height of the skinny jeans craze. I had on a pair of slim fitting jeans. Now, mind you, I'm not the most the voluptuous person I am. I'm a thin built person, but I'm nicely toned. So I was wearing things, to kind of experimenting with my style that fit me properly, that looked good. And I remember wearing this nice suit that had been tailored to fit me. I'm looking good. I'm getting compliments from everybody. You know, I felt good about myself today. Had my hair nicely cut. I had got my own little haircut style, you know, and I had got some new jewelry. I was looking good. And I ended up going to church that Sunday, and I'm sitting at the keyboard, and all of a sudden prophetess godmother, her mom comes out of their mouth. "And if you are a man, y'all need to stop wearing these tight pants. Y'all know what y'all doing. Y'all letting these men look at y'all junk. Y'all ain't even doing it for the women. Y'all trying to get these men's attention and stuff. And y'all know y'all wrong. That's that gay demon in y'all." I said, "Okay, okay. I see how this is. So y'all are sitting here finding stuff to pick at in the congregation. Y'all not even going by the spirit that y'all claim to be flowing in. Because the Holy Spirit is a gentleman. The Holy Spirit is not rude at all. God is a gentleman. He is not rude or disrespectful. He says, 'Behold, I come knocking. I'm not going to barge my way in.'" And the way that this was being taught was God as a tyrant, and that he would immediately strike you down for any sin that you committed. And it got so heavy because every now and then, if I went out of town to see my family, I will always be asked what I did, and I would be picked apart. So I purposely would hide information. I was like, and watch me end up getting a prophecy about this. Sometimes I wouldn't get a prophecy, but sometimes it would be, and I realize now that it was all gaslighting to get me to spill the beans. So I had had enough of the sin watching and blaming the victim because of their sin and the victim blaming. I had enough, so I left the church. I left the church, and granted, for a few months, I was stalked very heavily by this church. And on the next episode of this podcast, we're going to talk about that. Again, I want to say thank you all for listening. Y'all live, love, and be free. Don't forget to support all of our sponsors and our links. Live, love, and be free. Smooches.